After World War II, our occupations of Japan and Germany were very successful in rooting out the toxic ideologies and completely transforming the society and culture. Whereas, Afghanistan, Iraq, we didn't have the same effect. What explains why those occupations were so much more successful?
Easy. One is a case of rebuilding institutions, and the other one is building them from scratch. You can rebuild things rapidly. And if you think of after the war, how things were bombed out in Western Europe, and quite rapidly they repair buildings and things. So both Germany and Japan had an extensive list of functioning institutions, from local police offices to educational systems, to governments that local, provincial, et cetera, governments, and running the train systems and businesses, and all of this have been absolutely functional. And so finding the expertise to recreate that is easy. And of course, Germans and Japanese will be living there, so they are very interested in rebuilding. And then what the key thing the United States then did, I know more about Japan than Germany, is the Japanese were hemming and hawing over what their constitution was going to be like. And so MacArthur finally got fed up. And in 1 week, he got his staff to write this constitution. And they're running around Tokyo, going to bombed out libraries or whatever, trying to find examples of Western constitutions so they can pull it all together. It was long before there's an internet where you can figure these things out. And they're figuring out what the constitution is going to be. And so they cook it up over the week. And what the Japanese think, the ones who are dealing with, they think, well, the Americans are going to leave. And so we'll go along with this constitution. But once the Americans are out, we're going to do whatever. And what Prime Minister Yoshida, he was the first post-war prime minister, he said, well, we thought we could change it back. But he realized because of the vote, universal suffrage, allowing women to vote, and there had been a certain amount of land reform, he said there was no going back. It permanently changed the balance of power in Japan. Another feature is the Imperial Japanese Army had so disgraced itself. Their strategy had led to the firebombing of the home islands. Talk about a total failure. So, and in Germany, the same sort of thing. You have universal elections and things. And it took a while to get the Western zones united because all the fighting with the Russians over their zone. You eventually get two Germanys, et cetera. But then you have a very competent post-war generation, both in Japan and Germany, who understood full well the horrors of the war that they'd been put through as conscripts. And they are really intent on rebuilding their societies. And they're the miracle generations in both countries. There's no parallel for that in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? They've never been developed countries. Germany and Japan were developed countries. So, and then you think, well, how long does it take to become a developed country? Well, some people say centuries, right? And then there's a whole other piece, which is the Germans and the Japanese had a real sense of nation, right? Nationalism. So you don't have to worry about nation building because they have a sense of national identity. You do worry about state building. So we were helping with state rebuilding. Well, in Afghanistan and Iraq, there's no sense of a nation. They have these, I'm no expert on these parts of the world, but my understanding is you have these very different ethnic groups, many of whom want to kill each other, right? You just got a civil war going on there. I'm talking about a death ground kind of civil war where one's in power and just ruins the others, and the other gets in power, they ruin the other people. And that's what's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. In addition, because they're internal locations, right? They're in the middle of continents, and they're surrounded by a variety of neighbors. And if you look at those neighbors, you go, ooh, a bunch of those people are going to intervene. And they're going to intervene in very destabilizing ways. Very difficult. In Japan, it's an island. It's hard for people to intervene. Germany, we put a lot of money into it with having troops and of getting the German army and other things up and running. And this will be Ukraine's future, where they will they already apparently do have the finest army in Europe. And then they're going to make it very highly defensible before it's all over. And Europeans as a group understand that it is absolutely in their interest to have an impregnable border around Ukraine. It protects them all. And Europe doesn't threaten Russia. They would love it if Russia would join the party. Join the rules-based order. You'll make money. You'll do well. Except the oligarchs in question, this real minority of people who run Russia and Putin, they personally won't do as well. Well, now they're war criminals, so they're out of luck.